So as I said before, we've been in the time of Jacob's trouble for quite a while now. We're just at the very beginning of sorrows, but here we are in that great city, Babylon the Great, America, and yet we are in the times that we know that Satan is divided among himself. Satan, being Esau, the so-called white man, is divided against himself, as that wicked feast day, Columbus Day, just happened. You know, a lot of people detest this day, this celebration, because really we know that Columbus was a terrorist. And so why would we want to celebrate terrorism? You know, when we can see who the ruling party is, Esau, the so-called white man, and all the terrorism that he brings, you know. And he labels all other groups as terrorists, but yet he's the terrorist themselves. You know, but he hides among himself to blame everybody else but himself. But I'm going to read a passage here in Jeremiah chapter 51 and get right into this. Babylon is suddenly fallen and destroyed. Howl for her, take balm for her pain. If so, be she may be healed. We would have healed Babylon, but she is not healed. Forsake her, and let us go, everyone into his own country, for her judgment reacheth unto heaven, and is lifted up even to the skies. So in other words, people are pulling out of this Babylon system and going back to where they belong. You know, they know that we don't belong here, that this place ain't free. Even the Edomites know that this ain't free, that this is really run by Occupy Wall Street, by the Zionists who call themselves Jews, the Amalekites, you know. And so they know that they're not part of the ruling party. And so they really want nothing to do with this anymore. They know that it's totalitarian, and that it's just become another police state. You know, they're doing all these false flag events, you know, such as yesterday, you know, Columbus Day, you know, a few days ago. And so, you know, they're doing all these false flag events to institute curfew and lockdown. So this place ain't free, and I think people are starting to realize that. The Lord hath brought forth our righteousness. And that is us people coming out on the streets and waking up as to who we are, keeping the law, statutes, and commandments, and coming back to our heritage, proclaiming our heritage, and proclaiming this word, this gospel. And let us declare in Zion the work of Yahweh, our God. Make bright the arrows, gather up the shields, for the Lord hath raised up the spirit of the kings of the Medes, for his device is against Babylon. And Medes, well, you've heard of the Medo-Persian Empire. Well, the current day Medes, of course, are the Russians, and they're going to come against this place, Babylon the Great, very shortly here, as you can see. For his device is against Babylon to destroy it, because it is the vengeance of the Lord, the vengeance of his temple. So set up the standard upon the walls of Babylon, make the watch strong, set up the watchmen, prepare the ambushes for the Lord, which is what we're doing by coming out here and teaching this word. You know, teaching you that he's not a so-called Caucasian, that he is in fact a black man with white woolly hair, that he died for the nation of Yasharahla, the confusion of faces, which are the Gentiles that Paul the Apostle was speaking of, the Hebrew Israelite foreigners that look like other nations but are true Hebrew Israelites, and of course as well as the blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans, which make up the nation of Yasharahla. O thou that dwellest upon many waters, abundant in treasures, thine end is come, and the measure of thy covetousness. Again, this is not talking about ancient Babylon, because, you know, how can Iraq be the nation of rushing waters? No, this is talking about America, Babylon the Great. The Lord of hosts has sworn down by himself, saying, surely I will fill thee with men as with caterpillars, as they lift up a shout against thee. And that's what we're doing right now, shouting out against this place, Babylon the Great. You know, declaring that this place is not our nationality, that we're not a quote-unquote African Americans, we're not quote-unquote Americans, and that quote-unquote we're not Mexicans, and we're not Indians, Native Americans, that we are the nation of Yasharahla. He hath made the earth by his power, he hath established the world by his wisdom, and hath stretched out the heaven by his understanding. And that's what we're receiving right now, is his understanding. The understanding of who we are as a people. That those people that are in Jerusalem now are no, not the real people, that those are the Amalekites, which is the ruling class of Esau, Edom, the yuppies. Every man is brutish by his knowledge, every founder is confounded by the graven image, for his molten image is falsehood, and there is no breath in him, such as the image of Cesare Borgia and all these other images of him pretending to be like the Most High, pretending to be the Jews, pretending to be all the nations. You know, it's talking about that. They are vanity, the work of errors. In the time of their visitations, they shall perish. And Yahushua is visiting this place, and you see all these events popping off right and left. The portion of Jacob is not like them, for he is the former of all things, and Israel is the rod of his inheritance. The Lord of hosts is his name, and we're declaring his real name, Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai. We aren't calling him by the other fake names that these Edomites had given him. Thou art my battle axe and weapon of war, for with thee will I break in pieces the nation, and with thee will I destroy kingdoms. And again, that's what we're doing, is we're dashing this place to pieces, proclaiming our heritage and calling out the so-called white man. And with thee I will break in pieces the horse and his rider, and that is his militia, when the chariots come down and destroy his militias. Will I break in pieces the chariot and his rider. With thee also will I break in pieces man and woman, and with thee I will break in pieces old and young, and with thee I will break in pieces the young man and the maid. I will also break to pieces with thee the shepherd and his flock, and with thee I will break in pieces the husbandman and the yoke of oxen, and with thee I will break in pieces captains and rulers. And we can see that right now, you know, that most people know that these rulers are wicked, and they're being dashed to pieces every time they pull off a false flag. You got a lot of truthers out there, and they want to try to stop this truth, but they can't, because too many people are now aware of what's going on. Behold, I am against thee, O destroying mountain, which is this place, America, because it has weakened all the nations and destroyed the world, saith the Lord, which destroyest all the earth, and I will stretch out mine hand upon thee, and roll thee down from the rocks, and I will make thee a burnt mountain. And that's talking about the thermonuclear missiles that's going to be coming down and hitting this place, as well as the fire from the chariots. And they shall not take of thee a stone for a corner, nor a stone for foundations, but thou shalt be desolate forever, saith the Lord, Yahweh. And so that's what we're proclaiming here. We're telling our people to get out of Babylon, America, in the essence of get out of its philosophy, stop celebrating these wicked feast days like Columbus Day, like Thanksgiving, like Halloween, like Christmas, you know, because we are no longer of this world. We are being called out of this world. That is the elect of Yasharahla, the 1/3, the 144,000. And so we're getting away from all these falsehoods, and we're teaching it the right way on the highways and byways, proclaiming this gospel, going to the four quarters, you know, because our people are scattered among the four quarters of the earth, you know, and not all of us look alike. Of course not, because, you know, we had lost the heritage because the curses in Deuteronomy chapter 28, so we no longer have the customs, you know. So therefore, we have to be brought back in, and that's what's happening now. An awakening is happening. We're waking up as to who we are. Blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans are finding out that their true heritage is the nation of Israel, and that they're not the fake-ass Jews that are pretending to be. But in fact, blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans, and the confusion of faces, make up the nation of Israel. And we're proclaiming it. And we're telling the world that Yahushua is his name, not Jesus Christ, but he was a so-called black man with white woolly hair. Not this false image of Cesare Borgia. So we're tearing down every stronghold and tearing down these idols. And we're refusing to worship these idols. That is the elect, the 1/3, because they're the only people that are going to wake up from this. 2/3 of our people still ain't waking up, and that's why Puerto Rico, Mexico, Miami, Cuba, all these places are being hit hard with these geostorms, which that movie's coming out in about a week or so. They're letting you know in your face that, yes, they can genetically make up hurricanes, that they can use weather warfare. They even showed you that in a G.I. Joe cartoon years ago, you know, which I can remember because I saw it as a kid, you know. And I even questioned about a lot of the heavy terrain that was in Vietnam. Did America actually use this? I bet you they did in Vietnam, you know, which was a losing war because, of course, it was only to benefit the rich. And who are the rich? The Rothschilds, the Rockefellers. Who are they? They're the Zionists who pretend to be Jews, the yuppies, you know. And you got Donald Trump, the yuppie ghetto, you know. Pretty much you got him, you know, now commanding this thing. And of course his main target is Iran, because that's what triggers off this whole World War III event. But they shall bend the bow and come against Babylon the Great, America, and burn her with fire. They shall hate the whore. America is that whore. The whore revelation is America. And it has weakened all the nations with its delicacies, with its policies. And a lot of these countries now are pulling out and saying, hey, let's stand up to her. If Russia can stand up to her, and China, we have backup now. So let's cut all ties with them. Even Saudi Arabia is now pulling out, you know, is now going with the Russian plan to keep Syria, you know, and not divide it, and to come against this Kurdistan state, which the United Socialist States is now imposing over there, because that's their other backed up plan, you know, to partition Syria. And by partitioning Syria, of course, that would be partitioning Iraq, Iran, and Turkey with this other plan, so they're not going to go along with it. So pretty much, you know, that's what's kicking off this war in the Middle East. And this war in the Middle East is nothing more than the United States trying to hold on to the petrodollar, but yet at the same time, the Amalekites, the Zionists, who call themselves Jews, are dwindling funds and giving it to China and Russia. Again, Satan is divided against Satan. Satan is Esau, the so-called white man, because most of the scriptures concerning Satan are dealing with Esau, the so-called white man, because that's who's ruling in power. You just take a look at who's ruling all the countries and all that. Who are the filthy rich? The Edomites, Esau, the so-called white man. It doesn't take a genius to figure that one out. You can see it for what it is. So they claim to be like the Most High. They claim to be like the Egyptians. They claim to be like unto the Greeks. Every movie you see about history, the white man has to put himself there. And the so-called white man, the Edomites, do have their place. They are the Roman Empire. And they did conquer all those places, but only because of their weapons, not because they were genetically superior, even though they'd like you to believe that, you know. Pretty much, they're the Reds, like the name Redneck. They're the Reds, because Esau is red. There's no such thing as white. That's why we say so-called white man, because he's not really white either, he's red. And so we know that this red horse that's spoken of in Revelation chapter 6 is really dealing with Esau, the so-called white man. And here we are prophesying on the streets of the cities, declaring ourselves to be separate from them. Come out of her, my people. And that's what we're doing, is we're coming out. We're no longer celebrating these wicked feast days, you know. And it's all falling apart anyways. Of course, this great city, Babylon the Great, has fallen. And it's a good thing, too. Because if Babylon were not to fall, we would never get to the next kingdom. I want to see this next kingdom. I want to get out of here. I know this is not my rest. I know that this is my prison. And we're all just doing time. But now it's time to come out and declare this. Because that's what we did when the old Roman Empire fell. And that's what we're doing now. So I hope this has been edifying, and like everything else, go out and proclaim this word, especially if you've been seeing this for some time. Know that you're an Israelite, come back to your nationality, and declare the word of Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushai. Shalom.